I want to make a note for myself, based on the fact that I know there were people there the night that I got jabbed, or poked, and then went down on the one Halloween that I went out before Tia Frio stayed too long after that, and then subsequent years. Then there was a costumed night, but this was very early in the beginning. I should think about this. There was a mention on the television about an actor who passed away, I think in September. Only reason why I mean, he was on 2 TV shows that I knew, or that I had heard of. The one that I've actually kind of sort of, but like glazed through because I don't really whatever, was The Wire. I was on right after Sopranos, I believe, like ad spot. Tia Frio took me to New York City just recently for for I think it was a 3-day weekend or two, whatever. He has a friend named Nick, we'll call him, who invited him in. We stayed at some, I mean, it was the first time I actually think I slept over in Manhattan. I don't even think I've ever stayed in a hotel in Manhattan ever. So the so he paid to go, but it was like a Hyatt, HYATT type facility. I don't know why he wanted to go in that weekend, but he did. So I was with my son because I didn't want my son going alone with him out. And I noticed, I did make a note of this once before, but then I saw the person pass away, and I'm just like, it might have been around the same time, I'm not sure. But Tia Frio didn't go down, or suffer from anything, but the kid Nick did. And it's not my Nick, it's not my Nicklaus, it's not Nico, it's not, I got my forever family with Nicklaus and Nico. This was a Tia Frio, like, whatever, friendship, and with him only, and I'm just there as, like, the protector and guardian of my son, because I never know, like, we're going into Manhattan, we're gonna go to the historic whatever in museums. Sounds like a great day, but then it turns out to be something completely unexpected, which again, of course, it did. So, standing at a pizzeria, and all of a sudden, the kid Nick that we went with that knew about the city and who's gonna explain us about the history, all of a sudden he starts convulsing and drops. Now, like, this is like the part where, like, I went to nursing school, but not for like CPR. Like, I mean, I'm not that kind of versed because I don't have field training and updates, and I really don't want to put my hands on strangers. So all I did was this in the middle of the intersection, flagging and counting down. I called 911 and I stayed on the phone, and I asked specifically for that person to stay on the phone with me based on the demographics of whatever area, because I don't know Manhattan at all. I don't visit it. I don't try to spend time in it. I have no idea. Wherever Tia Frio took us is where it was, and that's it. So this kid Nick goes down. And so I sat out and I was on the cell phone until Port Authority wound up coming first with a bus. They call it a bus, but it's an ambulance. And I remember the Port Authority emergency service worker's name was Delicato. it's the word delicate, although he didn't look so much, but the word delicate in Italian, that was important. Um, Besides, it has the word cat in it, but whatever. Um, so they put Nick in the bus. Nick went off to wherever they were taking him. But I remember I kept saying to the emergency service workers, I'm like, I think it may be Narcan relatable. And like, he might need Narcan. Like, who do I address for? Because like they were told he was still seizing on the floor, and nobody was administering it right away, which scared the hell out of me. There was a nurse, luckily, that had walked, a male nurse that was walking past. He knew what to do to help Nick while he was seizing, while I was out with the phone multitasking, and assessing the situation. So then he left, and then a woman from Mount Sinai comes up behind me. She's like, I'm a doctor. I'm like, right, yeah, okay. She's like, well, what happened? I was like, I don't know. He started seizing. I think he needed Narcan. That was it. And so then she left. It's like all these like perfectly placed witnesses. So, anyhow, so that same weekend, though, I had walked to get coffee, but some of the Starbucks were closed. I wound up walking past a gentleman who was towards the street, and then I had a gray, because it was raining and drizzling, I had like a gray jacket kind of over my head, like a fleece. And then he kind of jumped down. I'm like, now I'm thinking like I look like a church lady, with like a habit or like a whimper or something over my head. And he jumped out at me, and he was like, I'm what keeps you safe on the streets around here. And I'm like, thank you. And I just took off. Um, but when I was walking down the same streets that particular weekend, there were several people that I passed that were having trouble standing, or standing with their hands up against the walls. They were urinating in public, but losing their place close to a wall and starting to fall backwards. I mean, it was a real. I didn't have. I left Nucci briefly because he was in the room, and he was safe in the room, to get the coffee, the food, and to get back to him. But the public streets were strewn with something that was it looked very powerful. And again, I don't know what that weekend was all about. I don't know why, out of the blue, Teofrio needed to go to the city. I just knew not to leave Nucci all weekend by himself, because I was deathly frightened whenever he leaves my sight. But I did mention it not only to a doctor who showed up, the nurse already knew, and then to the ambulance workers, about that. I thought it could possibly be, but I don't really know for sure. And sure enough, the Narcan, when they administered it wound up being, I guess, what he needed. But again, it's like I never know with Teofrio. Like, are you purposely trying to set me up to get me in trouble? I mean, like, I just don't enjoy the whole human experience with this human condition. With, like, why did I get stuck with this? I was built for something else in the machine. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza. It's Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxy is broken. And it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361. I'm an easy character in history to visually recognize between my nose, between when my face isn't this bloated, but the girl with the pearl earring, it's real clear I look like European history, but in New York, walking around. like a painting that came to life. I mean, there's a reason why there's statues throughout the other continent, being Eurasia, with scattered pieces of evidence of the marble encapsulated family and timepieces. What I don't understand is why in New York it's been so difficult to find where to go or who to whom to speak to if there's a problem. Or I mean, there's been problems strewn throughout Linda's life and now mine, but there's been little to no forever family members that have been able to come in and then scoop us up and bring us into forever family. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxies, broken, Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.